Hey y'all, so I have been wanting to return to YouTube and my YouTube channel to upload videos for quite some time, and I just kept putting it off, feeling like I didn't have time or have an opportunity. And then this topic came, and I felt like it was a really authentic time for me to get back in the swing of things. So, um, I am actually a huge fan of The Little Mermaid and Ariel. Um, so, of course, this conversation I want to have is about the hashtag Not My Ariel drama that is going on. So, 3 days ago, today is Sunday, the 7th of July. It's also my birthday month. Shout out to all my cancers. 3 days ago, the announcement of Halle Bailey being casted as the live action Ariel for the up and coming Little Mermaid remake by Disney was announced. And quickly, a conversation from people who had an initial knee-jerk reaction to that um, casting. It quickly kind of took over the internet. Um, Basically, hashtag Not My Ariel became viral, and any Caucasians and redheads who had a sentimental and nostalgic value held within the Ariel character felt like they were being slighted with this casting. And at first, it was hard for me to really get it. Like, what's the beef? I love Ariel. I'm black. Didn't see a problem for myself. But I wanted to be fair um, in terms of listening to the conversation. Now, I will say a lot of people, and I think that this happens often whenever there are emotional outbursts towards something, people don't make it their duty to have educated and respectful conversations about the issue. People just start spouting off ignorance and insults, and it makes it very hard to hear where someone is coming from. I know personally, as an African American person, oftentimes I feel like when we have issues or social justice issues that we want to be taken seriously, it's important that we make sure we articulate ourselves in a respectful and intelligent way. And I think that a lot of people who were making complaints about this casting, oh, check out the shirt, don't be a salty bitch. But I think a lot of people who were making commentation about this casting weren't making sense. I saw a video of a woman who said that Ariel couldn't be black because her being born under the sea, she wouldn't be exposed to the sun to develop that much melanin. Which would imply that she believes black people are black because we're in the sun. So obviously, I don't know anybody that's listening to her commentation and feeling like it matters. So again, I wanted to watch as many videos, read as many articles, and try to get a clear and intelligent perspective. And I feel like I walked away with at least 3 valid points of view that I want to share to help give clarity, because I think I know why I would love for Ariel to be black. But I want to take responsibility and understanding that there are other people who have an issue and that some of those issues are valid. But I will also address the issues that it's like, well, you just got to pay it. It's not going to change. So the first valid issue that I understood or was empathetic with is that some people, based on the practically cult level of love that the original adaptation of Little Mermaid has, Some people are just obsessed with the original pale skin, red hair, blue eyed Ariel. I'm one of those people. I have like thousands of toys and dolls and collectibles that I've purchased that are branded after the original Disney original Disney adaptation of her being white with red hair and blue eyes. And I can understand that if I weren't black, I would initially be off put by this change. Similarly, I had the same response to the casting of Storm in the original X-Men Fox movie when they casted Halle Berry, and she had brown eyes instead of blue eyes like she has in the comics, and she was of a biracial skin tone when in the comics she was a beautiful dark-skinned woman who was from Africa. So I get those people who are not black but love Ariel from the original depiction having some sentimental and nostalgic value that feels disrupted by seeing the casting of Halle Bailey. And those people, I think, have a valid point in saying, I don't really like this change. Hashtag not my Ariel is going a little far. Expressions of oppression is going far, but I can understand why that would make them feel off-put. Another valid argument that I've heard from African Americans is that as we have been asking for inclusion and diversity and representation, we haven't been asking for hand-me-downs. And it could be perceived that this character that already exists, that has already had a place of popularity with so many people, being transformed into a black girl is really just a hand-me-down or a, tossing a bone to appease a larger issue, which again is a valid point. A point that I don't necessarily feel, because I've always loved Ariel. I'm black. Her being turned black for me is like, okay, give me the hand-me-down. I'm here for it. But I can understand how someone who maybe is not necessarily into the original Little Mermaid, but feels like, yes, I want my children or daughters or whatever to see themselves on screen, but I want it to be authentic. I want you to make something for my kids, not just try to toss my kids what you've already used and ran through. And then the last one was that this is essentially a money grab and a ploy to pick our pockets so Disney can get some more coin. And that is valid. I mean, at the end of the day, telling these stories, making these movies essentially is for them to make a profit. And, even though The Little Mermaid is very popular and they're on this, live adaptation train, yes, they might want to change things up, spice it up a little bit in order to create a higher revenue off of this new version. All three of those points are valid. All three of those points, I can understand why they would create tension and a negative emotional response. But those 3 points are in a classification of a number of people. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's just, you can't please everybody. So for the people that fall into those 3 categories, unfortunately, you just can't please everybody. And I'm sorry that it's fallen out for you. But for the people that's making ridiculous arguments, and for the people that are even making valid arguments but are being disrespectful in the way that they are presenting them, like if you're a black person telling other black people that if they are excited about this movie, they're stupid and they're cooning because the white man is just throwing you a character that they don't want anymore, that's ridiculous. Nobody is gonna be able to avoid getting defensive when you're insulting them. Okay, I love Ariel. If it's being thrown a bone or being giving some hand-me-downs, I don't care. I love Ariel, and I would love to see her as a black mermaid. But I feel like we have to take accountability for having intelligent and respectful conversations when we're trying to make points. Because you don't make a point when you make someone defensive and then they don't want to hear nothing else you got to say. For the people that are saying, well, what if they made Princess Tiana white? Then how would you feel? Well, first of all, two wrongs don't make a right. And second of all, those wrongs have already been made. There are several whitewashed movies of historical value with real live people being depicted by people that they were not in real life. So those arguments are really not valid either. And they just create further division. I think that, again, in closing, what I want to say is it's a valid conversation for us to be having. Race, although, not to be shady, but oftentimes people are claimed to not see color. And unfortunately, that's not the reality. There's a lot of history that is entangled in why the social constructs of race and ethnicity play a huge role in our markets. And this is just an example of that. But we can have these disagreements, emotional responses, and feelings in an intelligent and respectful way without trying to jab at other people, put other people down, or just be outright rude and insulting to people. Let us keep in mind that at the end of the day, Ariel's not real. There are no descendants. There's no bloodline of people that are going to be, just disrespected and feel like their great-grandmother is turning over in her grave because Ariel didn't exist. And even though you can have a strong sentimental and nostalgic value associated to your childhood with her because when she came out, she was so cool and you were wearing red t-shirts and using combs or using forks to comb your hair, the reality is that Ariel being changed to a black girl in a live adaptation is not a form of oppression. Okay? So, and I say that hoping that it comes across. I'm a descendant of, I have Petty in my bloodline, so sometimes I just come off real sarcastic. But I really do hope that, women who are redheads that feel like they're being slighted can understand that Ariel wasn't real. All her sisters had different hair colors, and so it wasn't like a bloodline of redheads. That's not what this is. And to the argument that now all of her family would have to be black, I do think that just like an adaptation of Cinderella where Brandy was a black Cinderella and the cast was completely colorblind, everybody was of different nationalities, I think they can do that same thing with this live adaptation of Ariel. The story is not rooted in any ethnicity or culture, so honestly, I'm here for a colorblind cast, keeping Ariel black now, and having some of everybody be represented in this live adaptation. All right, that's my opinion. I will be returning with more commentation, hopefully a better camera and background setup, but I just wanted to address this as soon as possible. Bye. Like, comment, and subscribe.